I got off the phone with the E-Trek guys, and essentially where they're at is that in order to get the E-Trek down, it's going to be like minimum 2,000 for the day.
Oh my God.
Do the math. They should do the math.
I shot Swerve in October of 2021. I wrote it in between March and June of 2020 when COVID happened. And it was just one of those things that I realized that I could shoot myself. Before that, I had written screenplays in the 90s and up into through the 2000s, but it was always an idea of being able to write something, get someone to read it, enter competitions, get feedback and coverage on the scripts in hopes of selling them. But when I wrote Swerve, it was a very simple concept to me. There was no explosions, there was no car chases, there was nothing like that. And I felt like it was so close to me that I could make it myself. I began the process by reaching out to someone at Princeton in the film department, and his name was Adam Hazelton. And Adam was really excited about the project, just like I was. So it was easy for me to communicate with him. And I sent him the script, and we kept going back and forth about what could be better, how to make it stronger. Maybe you should shorten it up. I knew it so well. I was so excited about it. When he told me that I needed to condense certain things, he thought it would take me weeks to get to condense it. But it took me like hours because I was so excited about writing it. So eventually we got everything together. He put the crew together for me, and we did our first rehearsals at the CEC in West Philly. The CEC is a place that's important to the community for so many reasons. Before I got into dance, before I got into any arts in Philadelphia, I had been coming from Wilmington, Delaware, which is where I'm from. And I was going to the CEC, which is the Community Education Center. And they have rap groups there, performances, dance performances, jazz bands. It was just a place for artists to do their thing. And the first thing I thought of for auditions for Swerve was, let's go to the CEC. And we went through script piece by piece. Some of the sessions that we had included all the main characters or actors in the first stages of what we were shooting, which is the classroom scene. I brought in Olu, who was the first assistant director, Adam Hazelton, which is the cinematographer, Brooks Eichner, who was the script supervisor, and my man Gary Dordan, who's also an actor, writer, and you guys would know him from a few other projects or movies that he's been in. So to have those people in place for me to be able to do what I wanted to do with the project before we actually began shooting was very important. Hood Rich also came through. His name is Mike Plasha, and Jaden Alexander, who played Eli, and his parents came through for rehearsals. And it was a really good time, man. I've never experienced anything like that. I was very excited about being able to have something come out of my head and just put it all out on the stage for rehearsals. And then I can, eventually I was able to see the vision of the project. While we were doing the CEC rehearsals, it was all going great. It was all going smooth. And we had moments where we brought in Adam Tickner, who was the fight choreographer. And it was funny watching him and Ariel go through the fight stuff, because it was great in the rehearsals, during the rehearsals. But Ariel was getting a little wild. It was a few moments where he kind of busted me up a little bit, and it was just us doing our thing. But it all goes well. You don't know what to expect, whether Eli is riding the bike or Jaden's riding the bike, and we're walking around, the camera guy's walking around, and it's all smooth until somebody might run into somebody else. Ooh. I came up with the idea of Swerve, a few reasons. One was, I wanted to change the meaning behind the negative connotation of swerve, which is when kids on 29-inch bicycles or giant BMX bicycles ride head-on into traffic, into people, into anything oncoming, and swerve to keep from hitting it, right? Almost like a game of chicken on bikes. And I love riding bikes. I've been riding BMX bikes since I was about 12, 13. I actually, and not many people know this, I actually learned how to ride a bike without training wheels. All I needed was a curb to get on and push off, and that was it. I don't even remember riding and falling over. I just remember getting on the bike, on the curb, pedaling, and never stopped pedaling. And one day I rode out into the street where the curb ran out, and I had to turn around. So I went to turn around, and that's when I fell off the bike, and I didn't have a curb to get on. So I just walked the bike back where I came from until I found the curb. I've just been on bikes. I've been interested in bikes for a very long time. So when I met these kids who were doing these ride outs, I was fascinated by the idea of them being able to wheelie and do tricks. Their balance is impeccable. Even as a flatland rider, I didn't know, I know balance that way, but riding a big BMX bike and wheeling, the wheelie culture, that's a different kind of balance. It's impressive. And they ride in these massive groups. When I met Eli, a couple other guys that were riding, I thought it would be interesting to make a story that was about not necessarily the wheelie culture, but the stories that go on within the wheelie culture. When I first went out on a ride out with these young kids, I was definitely the oldest one. I think I might have been 50 at the time. I don't even know where we rode. We kept riding and riding and riding, and I just riding, and I was on a 24-inch, and they were on 29-inch. And I've never ridden my 24-inch bike for 4 hours straight. I was just riding, and we ended up at a Wawa, and they went in this store like a small hurricane. They went in, they all, ran around doing their thing, and they came out with pockets full of stuff, arguing with the cashiers. The cops were there. The cops pulled up, and they came over to me. You know why? Because I was the oldest one, and they thought I was responsible for these young dudes. I simply was like, look, I don't know these dudes. I'm just riding with them. I have no idea who they are. I'm just here. And so I thought that was interesting too. Like this was a community that I had no idea existed, and I had no idea how to navigate any of that. So I went about my business, and then a little while later, I started to go out with them again. But I kept my distance in the way of just have a good time. Don't judge any of them. You don't be critical of any of them. You know why? Because I was a kid too, and I understood what it was like to have a good time and be with your friends. And sometimes you're reckless and sometimes you're not. But ultimately, it was a good time. So I wanted to create a movie that told a story about what goes on in a neighborhood that young people can relate to. Also, older people can relate to as well, because a lot of people have kids and they're into different things that they're disconnected from. And they don't know what their kids are doing when they're out of the house, out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. And so they also don't know if their kid is being bullied or not, or if their kid is having a hard time in school or in neighborhoods. But riding a bike for this group of kids is definitely something that they can call their own. And I wanted them to feel proud about what it is that they're capable of doing with this skill set, because not everybody, looks at it as an exciting thing. Some people frown upon it, and I don't think that's a good idea. But I just wanted to, extend myself and create something as an artist that told those stories that kids could relate to, and they could have something to look at and say, I can relate to that. This is something made about our culture or people from our community, and really get behind it and support it. Some people ask me if Swerve was a passion project. I don't know if it was a passion project. I didn't feel like that. I just feel like it was something that I could make at the time, during a time when I had time, especially around COVID, which was between 20 and 21. It came out really well. I'm excited about it. I'm still pushing it. It's been on the film festival circuit since January of 2024. Now we'll see where it goes from here. After the first part of the rehearsal process at the Community Education Center, I reached out to a few schools in the area, and the one that worked with me was Alden Reed Universal School, which is right up the street from me, which made everything so simple. So they gave us, well, they didn't give us anything. I had to pay for the space. They let me rent out one of the classrooms. It was an interesting time. The first classroom that we had access to, if it worked, it would work, but it wasn't, it just didn't have that thing that I was looking for. Like, we walked in the classroom, we set everything up, and I was looking at the space, and Gary was also looking at the space, and we were agreeing that something didn't feel right about how the classroom was set up. So we looked in the window of the classroom next door, and then I was like, yo, I think this is it. This feels much better. So the people who were helping us out, they actually worked at the school. They let us in that room, and they were okay with letting us switch from one classroom to the next. That classroom felt so natural to me. It just, everything was already in the right spots. We just moved some stuff around. I felt like it was a great moment to have all the students in place. All the students were in the right spots. It felt like a classroom. It felt like a class setting. It was me as Van, Remo, Leon Mack played Remo. Even the original Eli Salter played the classroom scene. We had a lot of people that came from out of town. There were some people from California, North Carolina, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey. So we had a really diverse group of people who played students in the classroom. One of the moments for me that was exciting, the whole thing was exciting, but one of the greatest moments that made me feel like this was it, when everyone that I had hired to do their job did their job. They stepped up and took control and really came into this professional space. Or should I say, they turned the space into a professional environment. And Olu, who was the first AD, the dude did an incredible job. It was like it was his project. He honored everything that I would say and offered some other suggestions that would make the shoot go well. Him and Adam, I mean, it was just a great moment. Olu really did his thing. Even though we had this story based around a true story of Elijah Salter, we had to get another guy who was really good at what he did and what he brought to the table. His name was Jaden Alexander. And one of my favorite scenes in the project was when we interrogated, so to speak, Eli, who was played by Jaden Alexander. There's so much to say about Jaden Alexander. He's a very talented young actor, and I hope he continues to do some other things on television or film. He's playing basketball right now, and he's really good at basketball. But when I first met him, it was through his parents, through a Zoom call when we were doing the auditions. And, you know, he had the script in front of him. We asked him to read the lines, and he was delivering the lines so naturally. And I thought he was good on Zoom. But when we saw him in person, he really, like, the environment, he embodied the character, he embodied the environment. Like, whatever environment we put him in, it felt real to me. And maybe, I mean, I don't know what was going through his head. Maybe he wanted to be there, maybe he didn't want to be there, because sometimes it was long days, who knows what was going on. But not one time did I ever get that from him. He always felt like he wanted to be there, he was present, and everybody loved him. The grandmother scene was so real to me. The interrogation scene, like I said, was one of my favorite scenes. It shows the moment where myself, Leon, and Jaden kind of come together in this understanding as characters in the story. it was a great moment for me, and it meant so much at that time.
I am from Jersey. I moved to my town, Delanco, in like 2018, and I walked out of school and I saw a bunch of these kids riding these bikes. So I saved up my money, I bought my first bike, and I started practicing. I stopped for a year because I got mad at it. And then I saw it, I stopped at my garage and I saw it hanging up, 2 flat tires, and I was like, why not? So I fixed the tires and stuff, and I hopped back on it and I got good. I got a new bike for Christmas, got even better, got sponsored by a bike shop, got sponsored by a clothing company, and then bought a new bike, and then now I'm here. So like me and my friends, like we used to go in competition with each other. So one of my friends, he was like the best out of our group. It was like 3 of us. And he was the best out of our group because he always used to practice by himself. I always used to practice when I was with my friends and I didn't know how to do it. I was looking up videos every night and I just stopped. And I just got back into video games. And then I kept walking downstairs and I was like, bro, I want to get back on it and like fix it up and stuff. So I got back on it and yeah. The set, it's been awesome. Like at first I thought I was just gonna be like doing my lines and stuff and then leaving. But no, it's just actually fun. Like it's fun being around all these cool people, interacting and stuff. Like it's not like a professional set where like everyone's so strict. It's like we all joke around at times when we're not on set. And also like I get a lot of tips from other actors because this is my first time. So it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter who you are, it's just as long as you have fun. If you don't have fun, then maybe it's not for you, maybe you just need to put a little bit more time and effort into it. But I put time and effort to it. I've been writing, I started doing combos like a year ago and I'm still learning. Like I'm not the best and there's basically no way to master because there's always gonna be someone above you. So you just gotta keep trying and keep working because I'm still working, I'm not good at all. I don't think I'm good at all. I'm really learning still. Like I'm not the best at all. So there's always elements to, like I'm basically like I just started to learn decent tricks. So you just gotta keep working at it like how I did. Like don't give up at all. Because if you give up, then that's when your confidence level will start going down and then everything just goes down with it. And so is that wheel. That wheel will go down if your confidence goes down. And just keep trying and keep learning and keep getting tips. And don't be scared to hit up like me or don't be scared to hit up other riders above you because they do check their DMs. Because I check my DMs all the time. Because if they will check their DM, you might get a response back. Don't be scared. Swerve-Eli.jj. So that's where you can find me.
I came across Eli during a group ride out. In 2019, I met a couple guys who were riding 29-inch BMX bikes, SE bikes. Eli was the youngest guy that was in the group. I don't know why he was with the group. Even when I first met him, my curiosity was, why is this young kid riding around with a bunch of 50-year-old men? Something didn't seem right, but maybe he was missing something at home and he found that in riding. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I was just curious. So I got to, know him over a few months. And then one time I showed up to a ride out early and Eli was there as well. And when I saw him, he was bleeding. I think his face was bleeding. He was a little upset. I was like, yo, what happened to you? And he said someone tried to steal his bike. And looking at him, I was like, somebody's tried to steal your bike and you're still holding on to the bike? Because I would have let that bike go. The way he looked, I'd have let that bike go. No matter what had happened, he was going to ride. And so we went out riding and the old guys was like, yo, do you know who it was? We can go get him. We can do, whatever you want us to do, whatever you need us to do. We got you. And he was like, nah, let's just ride. If he sees him, we'll know. I don't think he ever saw him to this day. He never saw him. But Eli was a good kid, man. And we hung out for a long time. I had him stay at my house for a little while because some things wasn't, going the way he wanted them to go at home. And that's when I developed a story around how I my interaction with Eli. We rode a lot. We rode often. We went out. We ate. We hung out. Gary came through. Eli was here. We went out and ate with Gary. And Gary asked me one day, "Yo, what's up with that kid on your couch?" And I was like, it's Eli. I met him riding. He don't have nowhere to go, this and that. And he was like, "Yo, that's a story, right?" And I was like, "I'm already on it." And which is one of the reasons why I reached out to Gary and asked him if he'd be interested in helping me direct the project. But Eli, he came through and he played stunt double for Jaden Alexander because Eli could surf and Jaden couldn't surf. He also played one of the classroom characters as well. The boy brought his baby to school.
I met Rev through a group of OG riders that rode around called the Sunday Morning Riders. And I was riding around solo at the time. So I didn't really like hanging around with kids my age. They got into a lot of stupid stuff. So like I seen them guys and I seen that as something I could actually get out and ride with them guys and, at least stay out of trouble and keep myself safe at the same time. What do I think about Raph? Awesome dude. Like honestly, Raph is the first guy that I've seen that does the things that he does. Like he motivates me to do more in my life, to push myself to beyond my limit. Cool guy. Like we always shared laughs. He did a lot for me too. So I respect him. He's a father figure to me. At the time, being as though Bike Life has did a substantial amount for me personally. I can't really speak for the next person. Bike Life is my therapy. If it wasn't for me taking this path, I might have been Lord knows where else. So, this was my therapy. It got me out of a lot of trouble. It kept me out of the streets. It was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It was my first time ever being like involved in something like that. So like, I take every opportunity that I possibly can get. And I seen it was like, I don't care about what it can bring me, but what I can give to the world if I can, make this happen. So like it was awesome. Like I got to meet so many different people and try new things. I got to see myself, act out in a movie and see my story slowly come to life. So it was shocking and unbelievable at the same time. Jaden, he's awesome. He's a cool kid. He looks up to me too. He's like, "Yeah, you're crazy. I can't do that." I feel like, "Yeah, you can do it, man." He's a really cool kid. He's awesome. And me seeing him play out the movie and, act it out and him do everything that what was shown in the movie, it had me breathless. It had me speechless. Like it was hard to really say how I felt because he did it perfectly. Like it felt like he really could connect in a certain type of way. Seeing him act it out and bravely take it on, like even though unfortunately I couldn't really do the acting part. I wasn't that good at reading a script and stuff like that, but I was happy to give him the opportunity to do something great with his life too. So it wasn't just me being selfish, but I can give him that opportunity to play out what it was like to be in, my era and deal with the things that I had to deal with and go through the things that I went through to be where I am now.
Continue the rest of the scene. What are we looking at?
Yeah, we're good. We're clear.
We're good.
We're totally clear.
We did a shoot in the park up the street from my house. I forgot the name of the park, but it's only a couple blocks up. But we used my truck for a prop. Shout out to Land Rover. But Remo and I did a scene in the car, and I realized why people always say shooting in a vehicle is one of the most difficult shots to do. I guess if you get it under control, you do it a lot, you figure out how you want to do it. And maybe it depends also on what scenes you have in mind. But we were trying to light it was in the daytime, and we tried to light the inside of the car for good shots, and it was just a hard time to light the scene. But I think we did a pretty good job with it. It could have been better. I felt like we could have did more lighting. I don't think we prepared, or the crew kind of prepared for what we may have needed, or how we were going to be able to light the inside of the car, light our faces in the car. But the truck scene was another favorite scene of mine. It was something about being an intimate moment when I realized how important my character was to the development of a young man who's being bullied, or trying to find his way through life, or navigating his way through an environment that he wanted to fit in. So, I mean, pretty much it's like, when you're bullied, sometimes you don't know how to handle that, and you kind of like become an introvert. You just want to be by yourself. But also at the same time, you want to do anything and everything you can to fit in. And in this case, his thing was to steal the bike.
Relatable on just the fact how children, kids, youth need to be treated, need attention. That was relatable so they won't put themselves in those situations. They don't have anybody to run back in, then they just lost. People need empathy. People need some type of reinforcement. Not necessarily, they need emotional validation, not just like wordplay. They need the tangible emotional validation and care. I was like, okay, I have to address situations differently with more sensitivity. I'm not that sensitive. I'm a little bit blunt. So I was like, okay. I started reading a book, Power of a Praying Mother, or Praying Parent. And it just basically teaches me how to address my daughter or youth anyway, and how to talk to people different, because the way you nurture people should be the same. Try to handle things with kid gloves and not go on aggressive and aggression, and yeah. So that's relatable cool. On just the fact how children, kids, youth need to be treated, need attention. That was relatable so they won't put themselves in those situations, or they can help somebody else out of it.
Yeah, we did a little while, cool. But that's some growth right there.
Can you have that away from me? Okay, cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's how the magic happens. Just like that. I've known Joss Duncan since the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. I started to hear about her more and got more familiar with her work. I knew her as a storyteller. She's also an African dancer as well. She moved away for a while. She left Philly for a while, and I think she worked for Disney. She did some other things for other companies, and she was like, the money was always great, but I wasn't me. I wasn't free as an artist, and I needed to be an artist. So she came back to Philly, and she did her thing. She just, turned everything upside down and became a really successful artist. I worked with her in 2016 on a project that I was doing called Raph-Stravaganza. It was an outdoor circus in the courtyard of City Hall. And I knew her background as like a promoter, someone who really got things done, a real community kind of person. So I hired her to help me get the word out about the show and become a part of that. And she did her thing. The event was successful. I felt like it was successful anyway. And she was really grateful for me bringing her in to help me do what I needed to do for the show. And then later on, and she kept moving, and I kept touring, and we would link up and go out, go to movies, go eat, and we would always talk about what we were doing when we weren't in contact. And one day she was like, "Yo, Raph, let's go out to lunch or something. I just wanted to see what you're doing." what you've been up to. And I told her about Swerve, a script that I was working on. And she was like, that sounds amazing. I'd like to read it. Can you send it to me? And I sent it to her, and a couple of days later, she was like, check your email. And to my absolute surprise, she had been able to secure funding for me to begin working on the project. And I was like, yo, I'm trying to do a feature. She's like, no, just do a short. And I was like, no, I don't want to do a feature. She's like, yo, no, trust me, just do a short. And it was hard for me to want to do that. But I did it anyway. But I say all that to say, like, if it wasn't for Joss, I wouldn't have been able to get the initial funding to start the project in that way. So I'm super grateful for her and her trust and friendship and believing in me and the project as an artist. She now runs Love Now Media. She is like the CEO of Love Now Media. They have a magazine, they have an office, they do a lot of events in Philadelphia and collaborations with other artists and organizations where you really talk about what does love mean, whether it's as an artist, a relationship with human beings, or loving your art, loving your work, loving life. She highlights a lot of artists who are in particular situations and puts them on the cover of our magazine. It's incredible what she does for the community and how she does it. She's still a storyteller. She's still a writer. She's still really, deeper into the community. And we try to keep in touch as much as possible. She loved the project. She was really blown away that it came out the way it did and how I got all the people together and told an original story. So big ups to Josh Duncan for supporting Raph and Swerve. Tim Matzer. I don't even know what to say about Tim. That dude is an incredible musician. He's a composer and an artist, a musician, electronic artist, musician. He's a great cat, man. I met Tim in the early 2000s, but we didn't keep in touch. He was always on the road, and he was working with a lot of musicians that I knew. And the most famous person, or should I say the most recognizable or memorable person that I remember really connecting with him through was Ursula Rucker, who's a poet out of Philadelphia. And Tim was performing, and we were talking, and then I went to another event of his, and I watched him play. I really got a chance to watch him play, like get into the bells and whistles of a soundscape and original scores. And I just thought to myself, if I ever get a chance to do a project where I needed a musician to work with, someone who can create sound scores, like really ambient sounds that I can move to, it would be Tim Matzer. And I got that opportunity in 2000 and I want to say 17 or 18. And Tim came in and we did some work. But he's also a painter, a visual artist. On his albums, he actually uses his work, some of his visuals on his album covers, which is pretty dope. But yeah, man, this is his work. It's called Small Works or Tiny Works. At the Bottle, I want to say the Bottle East Bar. I think is what it is. I'm not a barman, but
I got a chance to work with him after COVID happened. Gary Jordan and I were working on a solo musical thing, and we did it at Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. And Gary went on to do some other work, and so Tim again was a person I thought, I think Tim can fill in this spot. So reached out to Tim, and we did this solo performer thing. And we went on the road for a little bit, and then when it was time for me to look for some, an artist to do some composition, some original composition and score for Swerve, I obviously reached out
to Tim Motzer, and he was down. I sat with him while he was watching the parts that I wanted to score. I gave him a rough draft of the film, and went to his spot and watched him really do his thing and compose. And he would ask me like, yo, what do you need? What do you want? What are you looking for? And I'd tell him, and he'd hit it. And then I'd like, can you cut this, make this shorter? And then I'd leave and come back, and he'd have this whole like score in places that really made sense. So, and it turns out that Tim was also a composer and a writer for one of my favorite bands, one of my favorite artists, which is David Sylvian. And one of my favorite albums called Snowborn Sorrow. There's a song on that album called A Wonderful World and Banality of Evil. And I play those songs all the time. Anyway, come to find out that Tim wrote and composed music for David Sylvian. And that tripped me out. It blew my mind. So Tim Motzer, composer of Swerve. Mike Plasha, who's been writing for a long time now. I met him when I met the group of writers, the OG writers, as Eli called them, the Sunday group. Mike was one of the first people that I went to with the feature-length script for Swerve. Originally, it was called One Way. So I took it to him. I let him read it. I kind of knew his voice by just hanging out with them, hanging out with the group, and he was with the group. I could hear him speaking. So while I was writing it, I was writing dialogue based on how I heard him have conversations with everyone and just being the kind of character he was. So he came off pretty well. People like this character, they dislike this character, but that's for the movie. They didn't dislike him because he did a great job. But I think he was a very interesting character. I wish we got in more depth with him. He has a lot of command over many of the writers, so sometimes I would let him kind of wrangle the writers. They all looked at him as the person to go to, like, yo, Mike, what are we doing? Yo, Plasha, what are we doing? Yo, Hood Rich, where we at? What we do? So that was cool to have him on my side when I needed him. He was very open to the process of everything as well.
I mean, it all started from I rode bikes as a kid. As I got older, started getting into trouble out of that, back and forth into juvenile detention, carried into my adult years, getting locked up, all that. I came home, I just wanted to reach the kids, show them a different way of life. Once I seen it, I fell in love because, they ain't do all the wheelies when I was younger. It was BMX, so I always loved the bikes. It all really started, like I said, I was riding the bikes. I'm 33 now, probably like 27 years old. All these kids are trying to get clothing companies to send them stuff, which is cool. Like, I want it, but I'm like, man, I ain't never gonna make it, get sponsored, nothing like that. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna start my own brand to give back to the kids instead of me pushing to make somebody else money from selling clothes. I'm like, why don't I take it and push it so I could actually give back to the kids and help them out? Because, a lot of people, they see what we doing, they wanna get involved because they, wanna make something from it, but not give back to the riders. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do it, do it on my own so I could give back and I could be the sponsor. Using money I'm raised, getting, people from the community, let's help get this kid a bike. Because, I just want to keep the kids out of trouble so they're not doing the stuff I did. So yeah, I started the brand and ended up blowing me up. SE Bikes liked what I'm doing, see me over here being a good role model, all that. So they ended up putting me on, and once they did that, it just, it went crazy. It became, a big family thing, a lot of support with everybody, a lot of good people out here, all, trying to keep kids out of trouble and do something positive. I'm just trying to create more opportunities so everybody can step into what their lane is and become part of the machine. That's what it's really about for me. It's not, I don't want everybody to do what I do. I'm trying to figure out what you do. Somebody like you, all right, you never knew nothing about bike life, but now you here interviewing, you're gonna start working with bike life people more, so get somebody like you a job. We're helping out local corner stores, bringing them opportunity. So everybody around me, I try to bring, the people working, they're the people I'm bringing the opportunity to. Because the more everybody works together, the more opportunity we can create. Whether it be somebody with a corner store. They might got a dry cleaning business, and they might let us come there for ride outs, get wooders, whatever anybody's doing. If they supporting us, I'm gonna try to figure out a way to bring it into what we doing and, support everybody.
I met this guy who owned the store. It was called Star Buy. And I met him through Hood Rich. I had been trying to get this store down the street for months. The guy had been leading me on, like, hey, I need to talk to so-and-so. He's not here. Come back tomorrow. I need to talk to so-and-so. He's not here. Come back tomorrow. I need to talk to so-and-so. The whole time the guy had been saying he's not here, come back tomorrow, it was dude I was supposed to be talking to. I don't know what he thought, but the one time I showed up and my man was in there, and I said, yo, but you're the guy who told me to come back tomorrow. He said, yeah, I just had to see, what kind of person you were. So ultimately, that guy who owned that bodega said no. So I had to find another guy. So Mike was like, yo, I know this dude named Zach. He owns a shop. I'm always in there. Call him. He said we could use his shop. So I called Zach, and Zach was like, yeah, we good. Just come on through. So I went to the store to introduce myself, and he had a whole grocery store. And it was a bodega, but it was a large bodega, a mini grocery store. And he gave me what I needed. I recently spoke to him during the showing in April, and he said he usually comes at 9 o'clock to open the store, but that day he had to come at 6 a.m. because that's when we were showing up. And he said he got there, he's like, yo, man, these people are taking over my store. Like, he didn't expect it to be the kind of crew that it was. I mean, we had 20-something people on the crew, not to mention the cast. So he was a little surprised when he showed up to see this whole group of people taking over his store. But it was an exciting time too, because we worked inside and outside of the store. One of my favorite scenes happens in the bodega, where the guys go in and they kind of like pillage the store. And it was just fun. Ultimately, it was a fun time. And some of the shots that they caught, some of the angles that they caught were pretty fly. Ariel came in. He was from New York City. He was from the Bronx, and he made sure to tell everybody he was from the Bronx. Good cat, been pursuing acting for a while. This was his first gig. That feels good to be able to give somebody their first gig, their first paying gig. I feel like somebody, hold on, let me pat me on the back. But I feel, my arm can't even, that's how I'm flexible. I can't even pat myself on the back. Anyway, Ariel Ortega played One Wheel God. Let me tell you the irony. One Wheel God couldn't even ride a bike. I didn't know he couldn't ride a bike until I saw him get on and push off. And I was like, wait a minute, man. You got to get on a bike. And he's like, yo, I've never been on a bike. I don't know how to ride a bike. And so I started telling all the people who were shooting him, like, yo, do not show that guy on a bike. He can sit, he can stand next to it, he can push it. Do not let him on a bike. Not only do I risk liability, but I also risk looking crazy, because a dude with a name like One Wheel God, that says a lot, because I know guys who ride with no wheel at all, ever, at any time. So to give someone that name and then him not being able to represent on two wheels, I don't know about that. But no, Ariel was a great dude. He came in, did the thing, and everybody liked him. He embodied what that character was. Like, he was the bully for the bully. Like, he was that kind of guy. So at a moment you see him and you don't like him, but you know why you don't like him. He played his character very well. And he liked to punch people in the face too.
How you feel? How you feel?
Good. Fucking tired. Bruh, beating the fuck up. Like,
Right.
it's dope as fuck though. I'm having a crazy ass time.
Yeah.
First time in Philly too, so like, yeah. I love this shit, man.
Nice. Yo, where you from?
I'm from the Bronx, BX.
Wow.
A
Okay.
little ways from home, but you know, we made it. Fuck it. We had to, man.
Nice. Yo, so
yeah.
how did you find out about it? How did you get involved?
Yo, man, I'm just honestly just been online. Been looking for anything that's out there. something pop up, oh, let's go get it. It's that hustle, bro. Like, you have to get it. You have to go. So that's how I ended up in fucking Philly, man. All places. But we here though. Like, this shit is amazing to me, man. Art, man. Visual art, music, rapping my ass off all the fucking time.
That's what we're here for.
And designing, man. I make some crazy ass clothing. Like, this shit is really about to pop. And this just started too. Like, I've literally just stepped into the movie shit. Like, alright, cool, fuck it, let's get that back too. Shit's gonna be wild. Swerve, be in this bitch. Yeah.
When we shot on the Parkway, I had to get the police to shut down the streets because it's already enough that the riders will just ride reckless, right? They'll just ride in the street and cause chaos. And some of the people I had on crew, they weren't feeling that. They were like, yo, we need a stunt coordinator, we need a safety advisor, we need police, or I can't be on the crew. And I was like, yo, they do this all the time. Trust me, it'll be okay. And they were like, nope, we out. So 2 people actually left the crew. But it was one of the most organized moments and disorganized moments. But for the most part, it was an organized moment because I hired the police to keep the traffic off of the Parkway so we could shoot on the Parkway. So the museum steps and the Parkway kind of one and the same. A lot of riders came out from all over the place. My man Ezra came from California. He was a very little kid, tiny kid with a lot of hair. Everybody was excited about him because he could ride well. But he was there. Joe No Blocks and that squad, his squad was there. Dirtbag Joe. A lot of cats came out to ride on the Parkway for that ride out. But it was a great time, man. It was so many people. It wasn't a lot of people there. It wasn't as many as I thought. But as we started to round up people for the day, they would show up at different times. Me and Gary had to talk to the cops because we had to tell them where we needed to cut things off. And we had this one scene where I had my man Arnell Bell driving the cart that had a Steadicam in it, and then I was in my truck with Adam, the behind the scenes shooter, and Monica Chang, who was the still photographer. So we're driving. I'm driving the truck, and we're shooting out the back. And it was a really beautiful shot because you could see all the riders coming forward and coming at the truck. So the wheels were like right at the camera. It was just a beautiful moment. But there was a couple times when things didn't quite go the way I planned or the way I envisioned it. So I had to like I don't know, step up or step in and say, yo, this needs to be like this. We're missing this. This doesn't make sense. I want to go this way. Maybe we can go that way. But just giving direction to make sure I got what I needed to get, because there was a few times where some of the most important shots for me to connect the story were missing because I wasn't there to make sure it was happening. So I just had to, give direction a little bit on what was going to happen, where we needed to go, and how we were going to do it. I have to talk about Will Brown, Eli B. Yo, this guy on the drone was incredible, and he's probably better now. This was in 2021 when we shot. This dude is probably way better now. Shout out to Il Brown. But some of the images that he got during the ride out scene on the Parkway, and what else? The other scene that he got when we did a ride out, when SC Riders came through, Todd Lyons, D Blocks, the whole SE squad came through, and we went out and shot with them. I shot with them, and Will Brown, man, just had these great aerial shots coming over the bridge. He was coming over the bridge. He was panned back, pulled back, and you could see the sea of riders like going down the street. It was an incredible scene. But if you need any drone footage, man, you need to get up with Il Brown, man. Il Brown.
I'm a bad, bad man.
He said that you were like a father figure.
Oh, wow.
When you heard that, how did that make you feel?
Raph is like a father figure to Eli. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't have any kids. But for whatever strange reason, I still ride bikes. I still play with yo-yos. I have remote control cars. My mom buys me a toy every Christmas. I do the same thing I do since I was like 12, 13 years old, right? Even younger than that. And the bizarre part is whenever I meet a kid, that's how we connect. Through something of interest. So I don't know what it is to be a grown man and not relate to a younger person. I think everything is fun. I always think everything is fun or funny. Even when it's serious, it's funny. And that's one of the things, I guess, when people say what my superpower is, I guess my superpower is being able to relate to anyone, but specifically a young person who has some kind of an interest or, something that we have similarities in a way, right? And I just try to be there for people, man. Whenever they need to talk, I'll listen. They need a favor, if I can take care of it, then, I take care of them. But, I think when we first met, it was one of those things, cause I was curious, like, why is this young dude hanging around these old cats? But it wasn't like he got on my nerves. It wasn't, cause some of the guys, Eli get on my nerves, but it wasn't like that. I was just excited to have someone around to joke with and crack on and be funny, and be a kid myself. I mean, I think that's one thing we kind of forget or lose as we get older. We forget how to play or forget how to be kids, right? So I think, I feel like that moment is for me to continue to practice being both versions as an adult and a young person. And that's how I relate. So it feels good to hear that, man. Like a father figure, especially not having that kind of thing in a sense in my life. I know what it's like not to have that at home. And I can only do what I know how to do best is to be there when someone needs help. So, that felt pretty good to hear that.
Shoot, not only that, shit, you've been there for me a couple times, like desperate times. Like,
right.
I've been, through me growing up, especially like when I started riding with you guys, I was going through a lot of tough times, especially between my mother and father. And it came a time where I ended up getting put out, and I think I was on the streets for like a week or two, and I hit you up. And it was a long shot. I'm like, hopefully, and you let me stay here for a bit.
Right.
So I really appreciated that. It wasn't even just that, like the way you talk to me, the way you kind of help me understand like what it is that I need to do in my life and what that I can do better.
Yeah.
Because at the time we're all not perfect, but I can strive to be better.
No doubt.
No doubt. Like being as though, of course, you're older than me. So I always respect and want to hear the wisdom that you have to say to me. So like, that's what gravitated me towards you guys. Cause I was always that one younger guy that liked to hang out with older guys, cause I could pick up on new game. I can learn new things or just the hilarious stories of y'all lives.
Right.
So that's what put me in a position to meet you guys.
Yeah, and Sebastian's like that too. Sebastian is definitely like, even to me, he feels like,
I love
yo, Pop, I got a problem in the street. Let's go handle it. Because when that thing happened with you on the bike, he was like, yo, let's go. Where they at? You know where they are? We'll just watch and make sure you do what you need to do. But all those guys are
all of them are
great
wonderful
guys.
Yeah, I love every last one of them. They're all awesome, and I'm happy that I had the privilege of meeting all you guys, because my life would be so much different.
Yeah,
if I didn't have you guys around.
Word.
you guys definitely changed my life for better.
Word. I have to say this too. One time we went to this after the ride. This is when I started noticing, like, yo, what's up with this dude, man? Like, he just be riding around the street doing nothing. So we were leaving the Rizzo, and I love cookies, man. I love cookies.
I already know where you're going.
So we went to the bakery.
Yeah, the bakery.
And I was like, it was crowded in there. I was like, yo, just stay here, watch the bike. So I go in, I get like a couple cookies and stuff. I come back and say, you want some? He goes, yeah. So it's like,
yeah, I come out with
goes
like
in
this
the store.
cannoli or something.
No, he goes in the store and he's in the store and he's in the store and he's in the store. I give him, he comes out and he asks, you see what you want? Yeah. So I give him $20. And he's in the store. And I'm like, damn, is it that crowded in there? So he comes out with nothing. 10, 15 minutes later. It's a bakery. You don't spend that much time in a bakery unless you're getting some custom built and you call in to get it. So he comes out with nothing. And I was like, yo, man, we didn't get nothing? Nah, I didn't have enough money. Like, what? I gave you $20. I know, but it wasn't enough. What the hell did you get? I go into John, man. This dude got
I had a couple things.
Cookies, cannolis, key lime pies, fucking all these little. He just went shopping. He just went shopping. That is when I realized, yo, this brother ain't eating. He just wanted to shop. He just wanted to buy. He tried to buy everything in the bakery, and that's when everything started to make sense to me. Like, oh, yeah. I get it.
That's originally how Swerve was born, because we were sitting in front of that bakery, and you pointed it out to me. He's like, hey, Eli, look over there. He's like, and we seen Salter Street.
Yeah.
We went over there and took a picture of the sign, and then we went back. You came home and you had edited, put together a Swerve.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Swerve. It was the light, the traffic light.
Yeah, the traffic
with
light.
The thing.
It was like some lines.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. Yeah, that's right.
Through.
That's right. It was in the alleyway cool. In front of the bakery.
And that was the birth
in 2019.
Of bike life.
Spent my money on cookies, cakes, and pie and cannolis, man. If I had to change one thing, I don't know what it would be. It was just a great experience. I have a vision. I probably would have just tried to stay in control of whatever my vision was, to make sure I got each piece. Been as closer to the director idea as I could. If it wasn't for Shu Hirayama, I don't know if I would have gotten the film done the way it came out. I did a lot of editing early on, and I edited in Final Cut, but I didn't realize that no one was using Final Cut. And Final Cut can be exported for sound and coloring, but you need another application to be able to do that. And then I found out later that everybody was working in DaVinci. So I had it, but I was unfamiliar with DaVinci. And so I came across a guy through the photographer, Monica Chang, who suggested someone to do the edit, and they couldn't do it. So they suggested Shu. And Shu was on his way from, I want to say, Japan, who happened to be in New York. And he was interested in the project. So he's like, yo, I'll come through and I'll check it out. And if I can help you, I'll help you. So he came by and he sat for probably about 4 hours and was like, yeah, I can make it happen. And I was like, how long? He said 3 months. 9 months later, we had something to look at. It took him longer than he thought as well. But when he got it together, we got it together, man. It was a great thing to look at. The first editor disappeared. To this day, I have no idea where he is, what happened. I haven't heard from him. And I hope he's okay. Honestly, to be fair. What else, man? I mean, Shu was a hero. He was very, very generous with his time. When I say generous, I mean generous with his time and energy and his input. He challenged me where I wanted something in it. I wanted a certain cut, and he was like, it doesn't make any sense. And I was like, yeah, but I gotta have it. And he was like, it doesn't make sense. Let's just take it out. And we took it out, and it was okay. And then there were some things that I did want, and he agreed, like, okay, cool, that makes sense. But in all this process, I feel like I have developed a particular style of making stuff. This is not my first attempt to make a film. I've made several little pieces and projects. I did a documentary in Brazil in 2008 that played the festival circuit for a little while, and I shot that. I edited. I did the subtitles, and I tried to push that as much as I can, and that was cool. But this, as a short narrative drama, was very, very different. I had a team of people that I had to depend on, and usually I hold on to my projects and ideas very tightly, and I won't let them go. Why? Because I think all the time. My mind doesn't turn off, so I have a very clear idea and vision of what I want to do. But I knew that I don't know everything. And so I had to call on some people who knew their craft well, and they were specific to that. I don't think if it wasn't for the people that I had for this project, the cast and crew, I wouldn't have been able to put this project together the way I did. I mean, it started out with Adam Hazelton, his sister, Emily Hazelton, who was the production manager. Incredible. She was in California. And she played a major part in pulling all of that stuff together from the West Coast while we were on the East Coast. Olu, Brooks Eichner, Leland, Alex Leland. I think his name was Alex. I can't remember, but he's from Princeton as well. We had Quay, Lily. There's so many people, man, that I have to really give credit to. Not to mention Leon Mack, Jaden Alexander, Patrice Hawthorne, Mike Plasha, Joe Noblocks, my man Joe Noblocks, all the writers who were involved, Ariel Ortega, who played One Wheel God, Daniel Rogers, the music, man, I'm telling you, man, you need to keep doing the music. He also did the behind the scenes. Who else we got? Rishi. Man, I feel like I'm missing. Oh man, how can I forget Ruben? The sound. The post cats. Scott over at Philly Post. He was really, really instrumental in making sure that I had what I needed when it came to sound. And ultimately, Josh Duncan, Love Now Media, who was the person who I handed the script to, and she got some support for it. She had been supporting it from the thought of the idea in the beginning. An Independence Media Foundation who also supported the project. Swerve has become this thing from the mind to the paper to reality. Hopefully I can build a series on a culture that no one has really had a chance to witness yet, especially specific to Philadelphia. And some other projects that I have in mind. But right now, we are playing with Swerve-Eli.
And I'm so proud of our new star, Jaden. Thank you, sir. Great job, my friend. That was amazing. Guys. All right. You guys the best crew ever.
Facts. Facts only. Say it again.
Yeah, you gotta say that part again.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yeah. I can't wait to work with you guys again for the full feature.
The bicycle is an incredible thing, man. I'm speaking of bikes specifically, bicycles specifically. I've been on a bike since I was a kid. So when you look at the handlebars, the grips, the levers to the brake cable, the calibers to the brakes, the headset, the stem bolts, the frame itself, the forks, the wheels, the hubs, the sprocket, the inner tubes, the tires, the pedals, the cranks, the chain ring bolts. Did I mention the hubs, the cogs, the chain? Without one of those things, the bike has a problem. If the world or if a group of people, a community can work together like the pieces to a bicycle, you know how much in harmony the world would be? Without one of those things, no one's going anywhere. But you look at the wheel itself, it's a circle, that's how we operate, it's safe. It's a place of fertility in a sense, right? It's a powerful number. Without zero, without the circle, nothing else, no other number goes anywhere. And you look at the hub as no pun intended, but the hub of the source, a parent, where the spokes being the people or the children that extend from that moment, that stick into the rim, this community of space, and then the inner tube, and then the valve or the nipple, and then the tire with the knobbies or the tread that goes on that. Without one of those things, we ain't going nowhere. But that's how powerful a bicycle is. It can take you wherever you want. The handlebars allow you to navigate your way through any terrain, through any, above, under, over any, whatever is in your way, you can go over and through it, around it, wherever. And that's how life is. You have to navigate your way around.